Hi, everyone. Welcome back to 49ers After Dark, back on our usual time, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Jessie Naylor. And we're done with 12 days of camp. There's one more day and then a couple joint practices. We have a lot of big picture topics to discuss. Jessie, it's great to see you. How are you?
It is great to see you as well. I'm doing fantastic. I hope you're doing great. And I just want to point out that this may be the first time ever that Grant started at exactly the time he said he was going to start.
I've been working on that. I feel like I need to raise my game. And last time, I think with my dad, I did it and everyone was like, gave me a round of applause. So I was like, okay, well, I can do this twice. So thank you. I tried.
Yep.
All right. We need to talk. What do you think we should talk about? Should we talk about the quarterbacks? I don't know. Do you think we should?
Nah, let's not.
Let's not talk about Jimmy, though. We can talk about Jimmy in a minute. We should probably talk about Jimmy at some point. But let's talk about Trey Lance first. He's been consistently very good in camp, but he is playing against the backup defense and playing with mostly backups on offense. I think it's important to give some context to what he's done the past 12 days. You want to kick this one off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the narrative has been we want to see Trey Lance against the ones. He hasn't proven anything until he does it against the ones. But let's go back just a short couple months ago. The narrative then was he's only done it against the FCS. Let's see what he would have done against the SEC or Big Ten or what have you. Well,
right.
Again, these players he's doing it against now are basically all-star teams from those camps, from the SEC or the Big Ten, because all of these guys are fighting for positions on NFL teams or have made NFL teams to where a great SEC team delivers 10 to 12 players every year to the league. Mm-hmm. So that was the narrative a few months ago. But now the narrative is, let's see him do it against the ones. Jimmy's doing it against the ones. Well, I'm going to disagree a little bit here. And what I'm going to say is, based off of what I've seen you say, Splash Cousin, Aponte, and all these other guys, and more people are starting to say this, Lance has no time in the pocket.
Yeah.
None at all. Because that secondary offensive line is doing him no favors. And unfortunately for him, that defensive front, no matter who's in there, is absolutely savage. And they are showing it down in and down out. So is it possible that he's actually proving more against the second team because he has a terrible offensive line compared to what the defensive front is versus what he would show with all the weapons around him and mostly the protection around him if he was playing with the ones?
It's a fair question. It's an interesting thought, and it's something that ultimately we shouldn't have to figure out. They need to give Trey Lance starters reps so we can make this an apples to apples comparison. But what I want to stick with what you're saying. You're right. The second team offensive line is awful. We knew this. This is a bad position group. They have some starters that they're hopeful for, that they like, but after that, they have no depth. I mean, they have Tom Compton at right tackle, Colt McKivitz at left guard, Sean Coleman at left tackle. It's not good. Yeah. So he doesn't have much time. Now, to be fair, the backups in the secondary are equally as bad. So sure. That's why you're seeing Trent Sherfield go nuts. He's not going to go nuts this season in the regular season. Good player, but he's just mossing all these backups. That being said, we also know the backup wide receivers aren't that great either. That's why Trent Sherfield is like the guy that everyone's talking about. So it's fair to talk about this. Kyle, enough. The kid is completing 70% of his throws. His TD to INT ratio is 5-1. You spent the third pick in the draft on him, and the guy that's ahead of him on the depth chart, his TD to INT ratio is 1-1, and his completion percentage is 61. I think I'm thinking they're going to make this transition when the media's not there.
I think so. I think that's a fair point.
It's too obvious.
For sure. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, why would you want eyes and why would you want everybody talking about a QB competition this early into camp?
I was just thinking about something. Let's say they give Trey Lance a bunch of reps with the starters tomorrow and he doesn't play well. And it's just one day, but it's in front of the media. It's a big story. You know what I mean? And then the next few days when the media's not there, who knows? He could do well, but that's not the story. So I think maybe that's some of it. You just don't know. You have no idea what Trey Lance is going to do or what anyone's going to do. You don't even know if someone's going to be alive tomorrow.
Yeah.
So he's probably protecting himself. Say Trey Lance goes out, has one bad practice with the ones in front of the media. It's a big story. Shanahan looks dumb. Not only do they say Trey Lance, maybe he wasn't the right pick. They say maybe Kyle Shanahan's an idiot for taking the way people are talking about Robert Saleh on the Jets right now because Zach Wilson's had a couple of bad practices. So you could look at it as Kyle Shanahan just protecting himself and Trey. And remember, there is a month left until the season starts. So there's more than enough time to do this when we're not there.
The thing is about this whole situation is I don't question what Shanahan's doing at all. I think what he's doing and how he's playing it is right for the franchise and what he thinks is right for the franchise. I'm in no place to question that. Not now. It's too early for all that. Now, if come week 1, if Lance continues to be the better quarterback and he's not starting, then I'll start to question things, right?
That's different.
But that being said, I question everybody that thinks that Lance has no shot to start week 1 and believes everything he's telling you in the media. That's where I have the questions.
I mean, Shanahan's been lying all offseason as he should be. Absolutely.
Right.
But again, there's a month left. Trey Lance hasn't won this competition yet. It's not even officially a competition yet. He's just killing it on the second team and forcing the 49ers' hand. Give him something more to prove. And I think they will. Because Kyle already said he's going to start the quarterback that gives him the best chance to win. Well, if you got Jimmy Garoppolo floundering around with his 1-to-1 TD to INT ratio, why would you not look to bring in the quarterback that you brought in specifically because you're not satisfied with Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, real quick, let's talk about Jimmy.
Yeah.
He's playing he is showing why they went and got Trey Lance to begin with. This stuff, 2 picks today, and it should have been 3, and a pick yesterday. This is the reason why Trey Lance is here, not injuries, because even when Jimmy Garoppolo has a nice touch pass or a good conversion on 3rd and 8, when's the pick coming? And it's like, well, he wins more than he loses. Well, he had a very good run game. He had a very good defense. He's 5-4 in his last 9. Maybe that's going away. So anyway, we're not here to talk about Jimmy. This is about Trey. East Bay Chris has a very interesting question because there's a phenomenon happening right now on Trey Lance is a Rorschach test, people that watch him, especially in the media. He says, What's the deal with the positive Trey Lance camp reports from Grant? I'm very impressed. But the so-so reports from all these other reporters. Now, real quick, I'd love to get your interpretation, but I just want to say Jack Hammer's down there now. He's one of us. And we're talking, he's like, dude, this is bizarre. How everyone's seeing, like, I'm seeing what you're seeing, man. This is bizarre with how people are trying to make this look like he's not real good. Anyway, what do you think?
Okay, first of all, I feel like the people that are downplaying this are, first of all, they're blue check marks. So that usually means that they're a little bit closer to the team, right? They're not outsiders looking in. And I get it. You have credentials and all those things, but I still feel like for whatever reason, you're treated as an outsider looking in. And they are pushing a narrative that San Francisco wants them to push, right? And I don't know. I don't understand the reasoning for it, but here's what I will say. It was a couple days ago when Jimmy G had that nice pass up the right sideline. Okay. It was around 30 yards in the air.
Yes.
Nothing crazy. Yeah. It was to Debo, who was double covered, but had a 1.5 yard distance between him and the guy behind him.
It was Dre Greenlaw.
And what?
It was Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker.
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw, who, anyways. But he threw it slightly behind him. And I hadn't seen it, but all of the descriptions of that play was like, oh my gosh.
The most perfect throw you've ever seen.
The most perfect throw. His numbers could have caught it.
It was the Mona Lisa of throws.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So then today, this is what's interesting. And this is where I call BS for all these guys. When Lance makes literally the same exact throw, the same exact distance, Debo to the same player who actually is covered even closer than he was in that throw. And by the way,
by an actual
out
DB.
in front of him.
By an actual DB, yes.
By an actual DB, nobody said a word.
Right.
Nothing. It was
weird.
Oh, yeah, no, he completed a good pass, blah, blah, blah. Why was that? Why was Jimmy's the most beautiful throw you'd ever seen? And the only thing I can think of is either A, you're trying to push what the team wants you to push, or
Just to
B,
get in their good
you
graces.
haven't seen this from Jimmy. So now you're shocked and
Or
surprised that you're starting to see it from Jimmy,
or you
but you
want Jimmy
expect it from
Garoppolo
Lance.
to win the competition.
Right.
Or you want Jimmy Garoppolo to win the competition. I don't know. I don't know where people are coming from. But I do think what's happening is there is a large segment of the 49ers fan base that wants pro Garoppolo news. And if there's a market, then someone's going to be willing to serve it up.
For sure.
I think that's what you're seeing. And I think what's going to happen is on Saturday, fans are going to see this for themselves. And the whole like whose beat writer's interpretation is correct isn't going to matter anymore because you're all going to see it for yourself. And he's going to play, I would imagine, a whole hell of a lot. So the training camp interpretation won't be as, but I live for it. And I'm right. I just want everyone to know.
Well, here's the other thing. And I had a call-in show yesterday, and one of the callers brought up the perfect point. He said that he was there last Saturday at Levi.
Yeah.
And when Lance came on the field, there was an ovation for him. But when Jimmy came on the field, it was the loudest ovation out of any of the players.
Unreal. There is still a very big Jimmy market that people are catering to.
Absolutely. So that's one. Two, it's interesting to me because I know that the claim against me is, well, I'm a hater. I don't want to root for Jimmy. I think I'm going to flip it on everybody and say, if there's that big of a market for Jimmy, who really is having the wool pulled over their eyes? I think it's a lot of Jimmy fans.
Yes. Thayer says, how's Elijah Mitchell doing? Heard he was doing great in the past week or so. I haven't heard much. He's still with the backups. He looks really good. It's impossible to judge running backs in camp without tackling. I'm very excited to watch him in preseason. We'll see a lot of him, I think, in like the second half of games. I also like JaMycal Hasty. I'm not giving up. Hasty's not going to make this team. He'll get cut and they'll put him on the practice squad. But they did that like 4 times to Jeff Wilson Jr. Doesn't mean he's not good. You remember what Hasty looked like last year? He had some explosion, and I just felt he was a little small. He looked like an undrafted free agent rookie. He's got really big legs all of a sudden, and he looks more like a pro. I'm just saying, I can't wait to watch Hasty in preseason.
Okay, interesting. So you think he looks good, but you also think that Gallman's the one that makes the team, the rotation, and he ends up on the practice squad?
Yeah, I think the Niners feel like Hasty's their secret, like Wilson was their secret. And even if they cut him, no one else will take him. Although the Rams should pick up JaMycal Hasty Sean McVay, if you're watching, pick up JaMycal Hasty. And I'm just doing this to spite the 49ers because I want Hasty to get a real check. Give him a spot on the 53. He deserves it.
Yeah, that's fair. Listen, if he's looking good, I haven't heard, it's interesting. Obviously, I'm relying on a lot of what you say and other people that are there, what they say. I'm across the country. So, but you're right. I mean, I think that there's just so much Lance and so much Jimmy, and that's what's selling. Right. And that's all I'm talking about. So I get it. But at the same time, there's a lot of players that we're just not hearing about at all that, maybe they're having good camps, maybe they're not having good camps, but we're just not hearing a lot about them.
That's true. I want to put Hasty in that category. Another guy that has been really impressive to me, Kentavious Street. This guy is good. He is good. I mean, the progression he's made since he got drafted with a torn ACL, he is. I mean, the only guy who can block him in the Niners interior is Laken Tomlinson, and I gotta say, Street wins that half the time. So shout out Kentavious Street, dude. You're hella good at football. Respect. I didn't like the pick when they took you. I was just like, oh, an ACL dude, and you did nothing the first couple of years, but you stuck with it. And my God, he's so explosive. He's so big. He's really good.
Good. That's perfect because they may need it. If Kinlaw's not able to
Kinlaw needs to show something. Until I see more, I think Kentavious Street is better than Javon Kinlaw. Kinlaw hasn't taken one rep in one-on-ones, and all Street does every day is whoop ass in that drill.
Is it fair to say that Kinlaw's the 4th best defensive tackle on this team right now?
I don't know what he is. Get in the freaking one-on-one drill and show what you're made of. What is the problem, man? You say you're not hurt. Are they holding you out? I'd like to see because everyone else has been grinding all offseason, and they're lining up and going head-to-head with these guys. Kentavious Street is the Iron Man. He's great. I'm not a great player, but he's had a great training camp, and they better give him some freaking playing time.
We know DJ Jones is really good. So I don't think Kinlaw's better than Jones.
Just as good as DJ Jones.
Wow.
Just as good as that's what I'm saying. Like if not better. I mean, in the one-on-ones,
Wow.
Kentavious Street does better than the DJ Jones. Like, DJ Jones lost 2 reps to Alex Mack today. Kentavious Street whoops Alex Mack. There's no.
Does he really?
He's way bigger than Alex Mack. He's big. He's super big.
Yeah.
He's not quite as big as Kinlaw, but he's hella big, and he's got way lower pad level. He's very violent. Anyway, I haven't seen Kinlaw do this drill in a year. I'd like to see Kinlaw. Anyway.
That's extremely impressive.
Yeah. Jeremy says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the season to start? Grant, Iggy come back to the Warriors. How you feel? Iguodala. I don't like it because I want to be Iggy in the Bay. This guy was stealing my name. I'm very excited for the season to start. And it's starting on Saturday. I can't wait. I'm a little nervous. I get the butterflies.
And are you going to do an after game report like you always do?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Figure something out.
It.
Daniel says, just me, or does Kittle have this FU attitude in his last few press conferences? Also a weird attitude toward Trey questions. Yes. I'm glad I'm not the only person who noticed that. What is that?
I don't know, man. Well, and then there was the picture with him out with Jimmy the other day too. So
I get the feeling that he's Team Jimmy.
Yeah, which is fine, but why?
Hey man, get on board.
Do you think it's because he's the better player, or do you just like him as a person? Like, that's what bothers me.
I don't know, but I've definitely noticed it. I don't know how to interpret it, but I'm glad that someone else noticed it.
It's a very astute.
Yep.
It's a very astute observation. That's for sure.
Maybe he just think like, this is how you talk about a rookie in camp. He hasn't proven anything yet. Fine. Okay. Well, we're all noticing a pattern. We'll see how his tone changes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Listen, if Trey Lance ends up being the starter, whenever that is, when Trey Lance ends up being the starter, he'll jump on board.
Yeah, you better. Chewy says, guys, Sam Ehlinger for the Colts is making noise against their second and third team defenses. He's a career 62% passer in college. Competition does matter. Certainly, man. Absolutely. All I'm saying is we're not talking about some like 5th round pick who's exceeding expectations on the second team. We're talking about the guy you brought in because you don't like Jimmy, the guy you spent the 3rd pick on, the guy you traded up for. He's doing everything well. I'm not saying make him the starter. I'm saying play him with the starters, because what the hell are you waiting? What more did you want to see? And it's not like Jimmy's tearing it up. I bet you.
Let me say this. I'm pretty sure that Allen at a small college was a career 57% passer, and last year against the best in the NFL completed 69%.
That's true.
I mean, people, the thing is, and again, I want to make this point. Your traits are your traits no matter who you're playing. Whether you're playing a high school team or the 85 Bears, your traits are your traits. Now, can those traits be accelerated against a worse defense? Sure. But your traits are your traits. And no matter what, when you look at Trey Lance, there is elite traits there. When you look at Jimmy, other than his quick release, and don't say win percentage because that's not a player trait, what elite traits or very good traits does Jimmy have?
Decision making? No, wait. Field vision? No. Arm strength? No. Mobility? Wait. No. No, I can't. Yeah, it's a good point. That's a good point.
So it doesn't matter.
This is an interesting point here, too. Matt Mayoko says Trey Lance is the best rookie quarterback he's ever seen. I think what happened with the narrative, there was a lot of pro Lance stuff early. That was from Mayoko. I mean, me too, but it's a different thing. Mayoko's old school. He's been there. When it comes from him, people think anyway. It was very important when Mayoko said it. Then he left for a week. People don't know that. But he went to cover John Lynch getting inducted to Hall of Fame, as he should. So he wasn't watching practice. And all of a sudden, you didn't hear Mayoko every day saying, man, this guy's amazing, as he would have, because he's amazing. Instead, I got to say, a lot of people from his competitor, The Athletic, been taking the other side. And they've been dominating the conversation the last week because he's been in Canton. So I think kind of interesting.
There's an interesting thing going on in the media right now, and I love it. I absolutely.
I mean, like
throwing gasoline on the fire.
Basically, what happens, and I think I invented this because when I got on the beat, no one took practice reports seriously. But there is a fight to control the narrative on practices, and I've been doing it for 11 years. I'm quite good at it, and the reason I can do it is because my track record is good. I was right on Solomon Thomas. I was right on Dante Pettis. I was first on these guys when they were getting big praise from these blue checks.
Yep.
So, I've made a lot of money doing this. I've got a lot of standing off my practice reports. And now other people are trying to beat me at my game. It ain't happening.
This is my turf.
It's my turf. Curtis says, can someone please explain how a quarterback who mostly throws short 10-yard passes still throws almost as many picks as Jameis Winston? Yeah, that's a great freaking question.
Thank you. I don't know. I don't know how a quarterback. I don't know how a quarterback can be second worst in the league in air yards per attempt, yet fourth highest in turnover rate. That's a very good question.
Here's how Jimmy throws picks. I see it all the time. First of all, anytime he throws the ball to a wide receiver, God. I mean, like, the reason that Ayuk and Debo have to run a million end rounds because he can't throw outside the numbers. So anytime, like today, when he throws to, who was it, Debo, outside against Verrett picks, the ball comes out like 40 miles an hour. There's nothing on it. I don't want to be too mean. When Jimmy can get the ball out to his first read on time and it's a tight end or a running back or a wide receiver running over the middle, he's money. Yep. He's money. But here's when you know Jimmy's in trouble. When he freezes. You know what I'm saying? He looks at his first, he looks at his first read and can't decide. Are you open or are you not? And he lingers on that first read. And he's like, uh-oh, here he is. He just froze. And then he'll come to his second read late pick. That's what happened today. It happens all the time. It's like most of the time he's in rhythm. He's money. He's good. But there's that play or two or three where he just – and it's like, why are you frozen? And then instead of going 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2, pick. That's Jimmy.
He's always been that. And by the way, most quarterbacks in the league, half of them at least, are just guys like that. They're not difference makers one way or the other, right?
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with it. Again, Jimmy's a starting quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And I want Jimmy to be at his best. I love all these narratives coming out because when Lance takes the job from him, everybody will know that he earned it without question. So these are all good things, but Trey Lance is a difference maker.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And he's been consistent. Give him some freaking starters reps. Do you think the Niners have a contract with the Pac-12 to draft their players in the first or second round? Yeah. We're going to talk about the Niners in their first and second and third round picks, but the Niners are real into West Coast players.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, but a lot of that is first of all, they're in the West Coast, and Lynch went to a West Coast college. So.
True, absolutely. Worked out with Warner, but he's not Pac-12.
Right.
Nicole Rankin says, what's the word on Ayuk? You used to say he had OBJ level potential. Is he looking good this year? He's not OBJ. I like him a lot. Vish is really good at conceptualizing him. He's very smooth, very strong, very long arms. He's not super explosive off the snap the way Debo is. And I'm curious to see how he holds up when he gets pressed by someone like Jalen Ramsey. Like, as good as Ayuk is, I think Ramsey could pretty much shut him down. And, Verrett I mean, Ayuk could get him sometimes, but Verrett basically gets the best of him. So he's a very good receiver. I don't know if he's a number one receiver in the NFL. I don't know if Debo is either. But on this team, neither one has to be because Kittle's the number one receiver and it's a run-first team. Anyway, they're both excellent players, but they can't beat every corner in the league. You know what I'm saying? There's some limitations.
They're both – the interesting thing about both of them is maybe neither's a number one yet, but they're both the best number two that you could possibly have.
Exactly. Yep. I like it.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
And even if they can't get off, let's say, major press from Ramsey or what have you, they both – can still be a part of every game because of the end arounds.
True. The thing with Debo is he can beat the press. He just has an issue with contested catches because his arms are so short.
Yeah.
Ayuk has an issue with the press. If he gets past it, he can make contested catches because his arms are so long. If you combine them, they would be the best receiver
in the league.
Yes. All right. You guys are being very generous. Thank you so much. Phil says, as a Niner fan, I want Jimmy to win the quarterback job. The two best quarterbacks in the NFL today both sat at least their first year. I get you, Phil. I think a lot of people feel that way. Like you don't want to rush them. But I mean, there's been a lot of examples of quarterbacks who came into the league and had success early on. I just feel like, how do we know Trey Lance can't be that guy? He's played well so far. Don't you want to? I just would want to know. I'd like to see him play with the starters in a preseason game. I'd like to see him play with the starters in the joint practices against the Chargers. If he's not ready, you'll know. If he's ready, you'll know.
Let me have 1 minute to try to sway Phil. All right, Phil. So first of all, the quarterbacks that generally struggle are quarterbacks that come into the league without mobility.
True.
Also, when you look at quarterbacks now, they are starting earlier and earlier and earlier. So let's look at some quarterbacks that have come in that are more of a Trey Lance mold that have been successful starting right away. Russell Wilson played all 16 games as a rookie, looked pretty dang good. Cam Newton, all 16 games as a rookie, looked pretty dang good. Same with Murray and Herbert most recently. Sure, he played 15 games. He didn't start that first one, but we all know if he started week 1, he would have been just fine because I believe the first game he started was on very late notice against the defending champions. So there's that. Here's the other thing that the 49ers run a risk of, and this is not being talked about very much, is the 49ers have a 4-year window with Trey Lance before they have to pick up that 5th-year option. So it's really 4 years of Trey Lance at a very inexpensive price. That's where the window is wide open.
Yep.
The problem with not starting him this year is that now he's sat for 2 years in a row. So then he's just going to be facing live bullets in year 2, which means he's not going to be at his best until year 3. And now you only have 2 years of a wide open window. If he starts this year, that means he's at his best next year, and you've got 3 years of that. The last thing that I will say is as a rookie quarterback, they always say this about them. Once they've played that regular season, if that rookie quarterback can make it to the playoffs, that is really like your second season. Now you're seasoned. You know exactly what to expect from the league. You're ready for season number 2. I want Trey Lance in season number 2 for the playoffs more than I want Jimmy G in season number 9. So that's what I'll say about that.
That was really persuasive. Thomas says, does Bosa interact with his teammates at all? He struts around practice like he's surrounded by an imaginary entourage. Maybe he's social distancing. Yeah, he interacts a little bit. But yeah, I noticed the same thing. And I do notice, like, man, he's off on the side by himself most of the time. And like, you know, Kentavious Street, Kevin Givens, Zach Kerr. I mean, they all do all the stuff every freaking day, and it's a grind. And there's Bosa over on the side with his shirt rolled up talking to Kyle Shanahan. It's like, you know, it must feel good to be that privileged and on that status. But I mean, I feel like he's been crowned a little early. I mean, you did have a good rookie year. Can't you like work with everyone else? I mean, I don't know. They're really treating him like he's the most special person. I noticed it too. And it kind of annoys me because one of the cool things about football is how like hard everyone works in the summer when no one's watching. You know, it's not like basketball where you do all this stuff and everyone cheers you. Like, this is just hard work and you get hurt and no one cheers you. There's like 20 people there. And Trent Williams does it every day. Fred Warner does it every day. But Bosa's like, you know, going a little slow, but he's out there and he's like all dressed up. And it's like, I don't know. It just annoys me, but maybe everything he does annoys me because of who he is. I don't know.
Remember when you called Jimmy G Zoolander?
Yes.
Maybe Bosa's Hansel.
Hansel, I think he probably is. The Goose says, will you and your dad do live commentary for road games? Really enjoyed watching it 2 years ago. No, but I think I will get my dad to do the post game show with me. I'm thinking I'm gonna bring in my dad for the post-game.
That'd be awesome.
So
that'd be awesome.
Yes. Shivnur says Grant Blue State checklist, man of the people. I applied a couple months ago. They denied me, and I'm just like, why did I even apply? I don't even want your freaking validation.
I don't know what it takes to get a blue check mark if you got denied. You have tons of followers.
I don't get it. I don't get it
either.
Chewy says you and Lombardi 40-yard dash races said like, oh my God, I would smoke him. I would smoke David Lombardi. I know that.
He looks pretty tall.
He's very tall, but I don't think he's got the quick twitch. He just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's got the quick twitch. Do I have the quick twitch anymore? I don't know. We'll find out. Robert says Haberman said he thought Jimmy was better than Trey on Tuesday. Middlecoff said over the last 2 years, Mosley has been better than Verrett.
I'd have to see the context. I feel like this.
Yeah, I have to see the context.
And I really like both those guys. So without seeing it,
let me say something. Jimmy Garoppolo has never been better than Trey Lance in this offseason. I just want to say that. On no day is Jimmy Garoppolo better than Trey. Like, you might say, I don't know, like you might look at the stats or one day, but Jimmy can't do what Trey can do. You just can't.
Definitely not. I actually read that wrong. I read it as he said that he's better. On Tuesday, he said that he's better, like overall, but you meant just Tuesday.
It's on
that
Tuesday.
Makes sense.
Maybe. I didn't see it that way.
And I think so. Yeah, who knows? But I think somebody else came out. Was it Splash Cousin the other day said that Jimmy was the best player on the field, one of the practices. So maybe.
No.
Maybe.
No. That's like saying Mohamed Sanu was the best player on the field one day. Like, nah, you know who Mohamed Sanu is. You know who Jimmy Garoppolo is. No disrespect, but nah, they're not in that. No, they're not in that
You're very
conversation
adamant
ever.
about that.
He's never been the best. No, absolutely not. Rich says Jimmy constantly throws off his back foot. That's why they're 40 miles an hour. Yeah. And I think he does that because of his ACL. Or I don't know.
Well, no, that's not at all it. Because in 2017, Grant, one of the things that I really dove in deep about Jimmy, because I wanted to see how good this kid was going to be. Obviously, went 5-0, took everything by storm. But I was watching a lot of breakdowns of his throwing motion in the offseason and what he needed to correct. And back then, they were talking about his base breaking down and the issues with his base. It's never changed. So you're how many years in and you've never fixed the most important part of your throwing motion?
Shows you how much he cares. Okay, Syard says, of all you've seen, what makes you most hopeful? Well, they got a stud quarterback that's about to be the starter, and I think the defense is going to be really good. Like the secondary's really good. Now they can't afford anyone to get hurt, but Mosley's really good. Verrett's really good. K1's really good. Ward's really good. And even though Bosa's not out there yet, Ford looks good, and they have all these guys on the D line, like a ton of guys on the D line. This Chris Kosar guy is really good. It's going to be 7 or 8 deep. I think the defense is going to be good.
Is he addressing me as Hat? Is that my name?
I don't know. I actually didn't understand that. Eric said, "Are you concerned with Banks? Which rookie has been the biggest disappointment?" I don't know. I want to see what Banks looks like in the run game, because in the one-on-one pass protection, he looks like a rookie that's not going to start.
For sure.
But then again, Brunskill is getting destroyed. So I don't know what they're going to do at right guard. Which rookie has been the biggest disappointment? I have to say Banks. He's a second-round pick. Everyone assumed that he was basically running unopposed for the starting job at right guard. He's gotten 0 looks and hasn't deserved them. So I have to say Banks. But there's still a month left. Let's see how he does in preseason. It's hard. It's easier to judge these linemen in actual games.
So I'm actually really excited to see him and Ambry and Lenore, those guys in preseason. I'm very excited to see them. Almost as excited as I am to see Trey.
If we want to win, start Trey. Playbook is unlimited. Remember when Russell Wilson made that little video about Mr. Unlimited?
Yeah,
that was great. That's what it made me think of right now. Carlos said, in your opinion, is there any chance that Lance is a bust? Just hard to believe we might finally have an exciting quarterback to watch. No, I think he's been too consistent in camp. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. I mean, just because he's better than Jimmy, that does not really saying much. But like, here's what I want to say. I can't wait to see him on the same field next week as Justin Herbert, because I know Justin Herbert's the truth. I want to compare him on that level. Just being better than Jimmy is a
good point.
And one other thing I want to see from Trey, he's making some gorgeous power throws. I'd like to see a little Jimmy Garoppolo touch from him at some point,
For sure.
But it's early.
I think that's a great point. Seeing him against Herbert will give you a real barometer of what an elite NFL quarterback can look like. So then you'll know for sure, hey, this guy's really that good, because you've been watching a bunch of not very good quarterbacks for many years.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell on day one that Trey Lance is working with a whole different skill set than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not much you have to overanalyze here. Lucky Luis says, Grant, should we be a little uneasy about starting Trey considering how poorly the offensive line has performed this camp? What I'm uneasy about is playing him with the second team in a preseason game, because that offensive line is trash. I mean, he's going to have to play with the second team a lot, but I'd like to get him some reps with Trent Williams and Laken Tomlinson and Alex Mack so he can actually execute from the pocket. I'm just saying.
I want to see one play where somebody gets a free run at him this Saturday. He shrugs it off, steps into a throw, and fires it 40 yards downfield. We see that one time and people are going to lose their minds. Yeah, nobody will want Jimmy if that happens.
That's right. And that's what he does. And he did it today in practice. Amina says, so many questions about if Trey is ready based on age. Why no questions if Jimmy's ready based on performance? Oh, yeah. I mean, what about the dude that's got 6 picks in 12 days? How is this fool ready? What is he?
All experience is not good experience, Grant. I mean, if you're thrown into a situation over and over and you continue to make the same mistake, is that good experience? Just because it's experience, is that good experience?
And if you continue to make the same mistakes, what does that say about you?
Right.
Tony says Trey Lance will break defensive schemes in a way Jimmy never will be able to. True. This roster is loaded. True. Niners can't afford not to start Trey. Win now. Trey needs to go out and take it, though. I feel like they're just waiting on him to do it, you know? It's like the wrestling match where you got to walk up the ladder and get it. Like, there's no one – everyone's knocked out. He just has to go up the ladder, but he hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, that's
He's in
true.
the process. He's, like, talking to the crowd. You know, he's got it. Anyway, I don't know why I thought of that right now.
I don't know. It's a good reference.
Brian says, off topic, but thoughts on the reports coming out on Zach Wilson. Trusted source says he broke down to tears after another poor practice. I don't know, man. Robert Saleh's defenses are usually pretty good, and I don't know what he's working with over there. Maybe he's not that good, though. What do you think?
I just posted the clip on Twitter the other day of us a couple months ago talking about how we liken him to a professional dunker because he does none of the basics well, but he can ooh and ah and win over a crowd with pizzazz and highlights. That's what I believe Zach Wilson is. He's a highlight player, but he doesn't do the fundamentals well. And if he doesn't figure it out quick, it could be over for him.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's obsessed with off-schedule stuff. What can you do when the play breaks down? And he's good at that.
Yeah.
But what about in the pocket? I don't know. He's little. He doesn't want to throw from the pocket. The thing that I like about Trey Lance is he's freaking big. He wants to throw from the pocket. He'll go through his 3 reads before he leaves. I mean, the way he plays quarterback, I was talking about this with Jackhammer today down there. I mean, the way he runs is special. The way he plays quarterback is a lot like Ben Roethlisberger. Mm-hmm. You know, he does do stuff. He does extend plays, but he's tough in the pocket, and he wants to be there. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Robert says, Grant, bring back the long, greasy hair. I'm like halfway there. I haven't had a haircut in 6 weeks because of training camp, and I don't know when I'm going to get the next. I need one. Shivnor says, mess that last one up. Anyways, is Trey ever showing any lapse of judgment in his decision making, or is he consistently making the right reads?
I'm sure
he's definitely. I mean, he's definitely making.
He's a rookie.
Yeah, he's a rookie. He had some situational stuff where at the end of game stuff where he got it wrong a couple of days ago. He's had a couple picks. They had a couple fumbles, but mostly he's been very consistent.
But again, we just talked about Jimmy making the same mistakes over and over. Trey seems to learn from those mistakes.
Sean says, Grant, you were single-handedly killing Jimmy's trade value with your coverage. $5 to chill out so we can get at least a second-round pick. Sean, he's having the best camp of his life. He's blowing me away. Jimmy Garoppolo. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate it. Will says, letting Jimmy Garoppolo start is a big risk in dividing the team. If he is successful, I can see half siding with him, especially if they go to the Super Bowl again. For that reason, I hope gone pre-week 1. Not worth it, in my opinion. Yeah, going into the season with 2 is risky. Risky. You already hear George Kittle starting to put his flag on the Jimmy Garoppolo side. I don't know.
What was the old saying? If you have 2, you have none.
Yep.
I mean,
and
it could be a bad thing.
He can't decide. He could be the villain. It's like, man, make up your mind. You're the reason that we can't all fall in line behind one.
Let's run through that scenario real quick, though. Let's say Jimmy starts and they do win the Super Bowl. What does that mean for next year, in your opinion?
If Jimmy starts the whole year and wins the Super Bowl, you can't go to Trey Lance. So now you got Trey Lance on the bench for a second year. And I guess it's a good problem to have, but first of all, it's not going to happen. Let's just say that.
No. Listen, I know it's not going to happen. But I mean, he paid good money. I figured we'd run through the scenario.
Yeah. Good call. Appreciate you, Will. Thank you very much. And good head on that one. Good thoughts. Anderson says, are the Niners better than Bucks, Packers, Rams, and Seahawks?
Packers, yes.
They're not better than the Bucks.
Not better than the Bucks. And the Seahawks, it all comes down to Russell Wilson. If Trey Lance is starting, yes. If not, no.
Also, I think there's like 5 teams in the AFC that are better than the Niners. That's a problem.
Okay, let's go through them real quick.
Kansas City.
Yes.
Buffalo.
Okay.
Cleveland's so stacked.
The
thing about those teams, I know, like, they're, say what you want about Baker Mayfield. They don't have dead cap. They don't have first-round picks on the bench. They're all in.
They are.
The Niners could overtake them, especially if Trey Lance becomes their starter and they do something with that $27 million. But right now, I would have to put them more at like 6th or 7th in the league overall. But okay. I'm pessimistic. It's my brand. That's what I have to do.
That's fair. I think Cleveland's a toss-up.
Fair. Sayard says, "My bad. That was a typo. Voice to text is wild. I don't do voice to text for that.
I took it as a compliment.
How good will Haha fit into the defense? We're gonna hit him next. We're just getting all the questions. We're gonna get him right now. Hold on. Gabe says, besides Lance, most impressive rookie. Dude, it might be Hufanga. We all kind of wrote him off because he's not that athletic and he's not going to be good in man-to-man coverage. That's true, but he's good at everything else. He had a pick today in single high safety. I've never seen Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sorry, I've never seen Jimmy Ward have a pick at single high, and I like Jimmy, but I think a lot of what you're doing at single high is instinct, reading it. Like that's why Eric Davis said, "I don't care. Put Richard Sherman at single high, even though he's slow, he'll read the play, dude."
Yep.
Hufanga might be good. I know he's a hitter. I know he's a playmaker. If he can do stuff like that in zone coverage, Hufanga. And then Sermon. It's hard to say a running back at this point, but those two.
And instincts over speed any day.
Yes. He might be good. He might be the Chris Hufanga. And they're talking about
he's one of the first guys out every single day. I know that there's first guy in, last guy out, and that's pretty cliche, but he quite literally is like the first guy out every day.
Yeah. I mean, Lenore and Thomas, just when you see them, it's like, hey, they got beat. That's when you notice them. Not Hufanga as much. Robert says, for context, Middlecoff said they have 2 elite DBs healthy right now. That's fair. Mosley's kicking ass. Haberman said, what about Verrett? Oh, he said Mosley and Ward. Haberman said Mosley is better, more consistent. Surprised me.
No. Definitely more consistent because of the health.
No. Dude, Jason Verrett is the best player in camp. Let me just say that. Yes. John, I love you. I'm there every day. Jason Verrett's the best player in camp. And Fred Warner is a great player, but Jason Verrett was the MVP of that defense. He transformed it. And if you want to know, if you want the evidence, look at week 1 against Arizona and week 16 against Arizona. The difference. Week 1, they had Bosa.
Yeah.
Week 1, they had freaking Bosa. Week 16, they didn't, but they had Verrett, and they held that offense to 12 points, I think, in Arizona, something like that. No. Jason Verrett plays a crucial position, and he plays it very well, and he's been healthy all offseason. He is the MVP of this camp. He breaks up like 2 passes a day. No, but Mosley's really good too. I'm just saying, Verrett is super freaking good. Middlecoff.
Verrett's small, but he's also very stout. Like he looks like
dude, he's elite.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Verrett's really good. Really good.
Yeah, extra good. Bill Johnson says, Grant, don't be hating on Bosa for rolling up his shirt and shorts. He's just trying to get some extra vitamin D so he can stay healthy this season. True. You're right. Dude, the donations just won't stop. They just won't stop. Paul says, who's the best bad practice player you've ever seen? And then the worst great practice player it can be from any time in your career. Oh, man, Jimmy's the best bad practice player I've ever seen.
Okay.
He's worse in practice than he is in games. Like, his TD to INT ratio right now is 1-to-1, and he's played against a defense with no Bosa, no Tarte. I mean, dude, he's awful in practice and better in games, although not great.
By awful, you meant really good, Colts and Texans.
Great practice player. Tavarius Moore, great in practice. Then the games come in and it's like, oh, I have to tackle. I'm not. That's not what I do. So yeah, Tavarius Moore. He definitely fooled me. I would have PBUs, picks all the time, as opposed to Ward, who doesn't. But in a game, Ward's making all these amazing tackles, and Tavarius Moore's like, "Oh, there he goes. Oh my, that was my." Sorry.
Moore and Hufanga seem like
opposite
antithesis of each other. Right?
I was thinking that today. Absolutely. Yeah. Curtis says it's crazy how bad Jimmy's mechanics are, even though he sat years behind one of the GOATs. What did Jimmy even learn in New England? Jimmy, what did you learn? I don't know.
He learned how to be a professional. I'll say that.
He learned how to not answer questions in press conferences, although he's kind of trying to show a little something now. Let Trey Cook says, was it just me or was Kittle really dismissive about Trey today? Brought up his young age and that he didn't invite him to Las Vegas. I asked him that. That was the question I asked about Las Vegas. Yeah, I don't know. Kittle's had a weird edge this year, this offseason. I don't get it. I don't know. George, what's up?
What's up?
What's up? Double B Studio says Niners are having a better practice than Bucks. LOL, according to Arians. The Niners are having a better practice than the Bucks, according to Arians. How would he know?
I don't.
Is he mad? Is he trying to say that he's trying to get more?
He's trying to motivate his team. Maybe I don't know.
Joe Summerall says, even Grant, your pops Lola is the coolest OG. You've been following him since the mid 80s. Your thoughts on special teams? I didn't expect the last part. Yeah, my dad is the OG. Thank you. On special teams, I feel like we shamed the Niners into making Brandon Ayuk their punt returner. Like they were just skating by under the radar, not playing one of their best punt returner out there, and everyone was like, are you gonna do that? And they're like, okay, fine. So happy about that. Also, Robbie Gould, that fool came up to me on the sideline today. I like Robbie Gould. He's hilarious. He's kind of like me. And he was like, hey, Grant, how come you're not wearing your Sports Illustrated polo today? I wear it every day. And I was like, oh, I'm a dork. And I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And he gave me a big smile. I would have said the same thing to someone that I thought was wearing a shirt every day. And I looked at Robbie Gould like, man, that dude is so rich. Like, you don't really think about Robbie Gould like that, but he's a 39-year-old with about $43 million.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
got it just from kicking footballs. Like, in a way, he's the biggest baller I've ever met. Like, he's my hero. I love Robbie Gould. Robbie, respect, dude. You are the American dream. You just kick footballs for a living, and you're good at it. And you're gonna retire with like $50 million at like 41. So that dude won. He won.
I love the personality too. That's hilarious.
Cool. I like him a lot. Yeah. He's got a wicked sense of humor and sarcasm. Devin Westbrook says he's a grown-up. He's like one of the only dudes on the team who's older than me. Like him, Alex Mack, that might be it. I don't know.
Him and Tabor Pepper seem to get along really well together. And Tabor, Jack and I interviewed him. That guy's hilarious.
That's cool.
He is such a funny guy. So I can imagine that Gold is pretty funny in his own way as well.
I hate hearing Mahomes sitting as a reason for why Trey should sit. Mahomes had 5K and 50 touchdowns his first season. I think he would have been a good rookie. LOL. Like, yeah, it all would have fallen apart if he hadn't started the season.
Well, I'll say this too. Mahomes really had trouble reading a defense that first year. I think this situation again is a lot more like Russell Wilson and Matt Flynn.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Just where, you don't want to go with the rookie, but it's just so apparent every day the disparity. It's just so apparent.
Shout out Vish, you're the GOAT, my man.
Shout out Vish, you're the GOAT. And Blake, CJ Henderson is rumored to be on the trade block. What are your thoughts if Lynch were to jump on this trade, and would that be likely to happen? Anything's likely if they can get Jimmy Garoppolo off the books, but not until that happens. They're pretty much, this is their team until that happens.
It's definitely not likely to happen. Would I like it to happen? For sure. Because I think that he can be had for a third that could escalate to a second depending on performance.
Look, even if the Niners don't get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo before week 1, they could get rid of him week 2. They could get rid of him at the bye week. There's a trade deadline. They traded for him at the deadline. They could trade. He even mentioned that. He's like, weird things happen. I got traded for at the deadline once. This could drag out, and the Niners could make their all-in move later, like they did in 2019 with Emmanuel Sanders. Like, we're all talking about, you got to start week 1, and he probably should start week 1. But if he doesn't, the story isn't over.
Yeah.
He could come in week 2 or week 4. So it'll be interesting, and he most likely will.
And I think they're going to start out 3-0 regardless of who the quarterback is. So that's always a good way to start a season.
I'm not so sure, but yeah, I appreciate your optimism. Jimmy, week 1, I don't know. JG says, what are your thoughts on Trey Lance and Brandon Ayuk and their potential years to come? Really good. I want to say, actually, I think he's going to have a bigger impact on Debo.
Really? Okay.
Because Ayuk's a hell of a player, and he's going to have the same impact on Ayuk, but Debo really is a running back when Jimmy Garoppolo's in the field. That's the only way he gets on the ball. But when Trey is the quarterback and Debo Samuel's catching passes, he's the deep threat.
Yes.
30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards. And I think you're going to see that. He's faster than Ayuk. You're going to see that. Like, I think Ayuk, he can get the ball to Ayuk the same ways that Jimmy can on the outs, the ins, slants, stuff like that. But Debo down the field on fades, you're going to see that with Lance. So I'm saying you're going to see the biggest difference with Debo.
Wow. Okay. I'm excited for it. Debo looks like he's on a mission.
Absolutely. All right, 15 minutes in. Let's get into topic 2. Buy or sell the Niners signing Clinton Dix. What do you think?
I like it. So is 29 years old, 33 pass deflections throughout his career, 16 interceptions. He plays both safety spots or has played both safety spots, so there's some versatility there. He did not play in 2020 after receiving guaranteed money from Dallas. He was surprisingly cut from the team, but if he's in shape and he wants to play as a backup, I think it's a great veteran piece to bring on. Veteran, yet still young enough and has some versatility. I'm all for it. I think it's a very good pickup.
I think it's the pickup they should have made all along. He's 28 years old. I know he's not great. I know there's a reason he hasn't been signed yet, but compared to Tony Jefferson hasn't done anything in years, and he didn't do anything in this camp, and now he's hurt. Compared to Tavon Wilson, I mean, Wilson has pretty much run unopposed for this starting strong safety spot because Tart's out, and I don't know. I haven't seen anything that makes me think Tavon Wilson's going to be great. He's surrounded by a good defense.
Yeah.
He gets roasted in one-on-ones. I'd like to see what Clinton Dix can do. At least he's had some success in the league.
To be fair, I think a lot of safeties probably would get roasted in one-on-ones. Jimmy Ward's special. He's a different beast.
Tarte
I mean, when he locks down people in one-on-ones, that's so impressive.
He's so good in one-on-ones. They put him with they make him cover wide receivers. It's like
I know, it's crazy.
It's amazing. Yeah. So I'm buying it. I think it's the right move. I think the reason they didn't sign him earlier is because one of the new defensive coaches, I believe James Betcher, had a prior relationship with Jefferson. Corey Unlin, who's like the new pass game, had a prior relationship with Tavon Wilson, so they brought in people they knew. And maybe no one had a relationship with but I think, get to know him because he's better than what you got. It'd be interesting to see if he ends up starting. I'm not ruling out Hufanga either, man. That guy.
I think the nice thing is safety's actually pretty deep because Maven's also on the team. I think he has a chance to do some things. So I'm excited actually for the safety position, even if Tart's not able to play.
Thayer says, what would be a great backup quarterback we could trade for other than Tyrod Taylor when we trade Jimmy? I'm still not writing off Rosen yet. Can we see him here's the thing, like he gets four throws a day. What are you going to say? If he throws a touchdown, do you say it a great day? If he throws a pick, do you say he's terrible? Let's see him have like a quarter, like 3 drive. Maybe he sucks, but let's just see him have a quarter before we start talking about someone else. Because the Niners brought him in last year. They kept him. They've kind of committed themselves to him for almost 10, 11 months. Like, what have you done? What can you show for this? I'm curious.
I've got to imagine playing quarterbacks a lot like being a 3-point shooter in the NBA. Like, it's a rhythm game. You can't just come in cold, have 4 throws, and whatever. That's, I'm not going to bring a guy off the bench who sat for 47 and a half minutes and be like, all right, hit this game winner. No, exactly. That's not how that works.
Exactly. M. Webb says Seahawks are being slept on. We're 15-4 against them since we've had the. Oh, okay. DK is a future Hall of Famer to me. Arizona overrated, Seattle underrated. The thing with Seattle is Russell Wilson's great, DK's great, Tyler Lockett is great, Dwayne Brown's great, Bobby Wagner's great. That's their team. The rest, Jamal Adams is great. The rest of the team sucks, in my opinion.
Their defense strikes no fear in me at all, like zero fear. And Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson's phenomenal. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. So yes, I agree. Russell's special, but special by yourself is not enough.
Yeah, I just don't like the way that they're constructed. It's the same thing as the Packers. They have like 7 good players, and the rest of the team sucks. That's them, always.
Yep,
but they're consistently good. They're just not going to win the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Well, that's because Russell's there. I mean, Russell can take pretty much any team to the playoffs.
Yeah, and he takes up $40 million a year, and then he comes out and says Dwayne Brown needs to get paid. Okay, well, I know how you can pay him. How about you pay him? Hello Farm Life says, which team has better pass rush than us? Is this the source of our O-line struggles? Perhaps prepares our line for inferior opponents' rush. I'd like to say that if I hadn't seen the offensive line struggle against lots of teams, but yeah, it's a very good D-line, even without Bosa. It's true, man. That's why I feel like we're not giving Lance enough credit for what he's doing against the second team, because Kentavious Street plays against that offensive line. Kevin Givens, a lot of guys. It's good. It's a good D-line.
Well, and not only that, the other day when Jimmy was playing against how many backup offense or defensive linemen, there's only so many defensive linemen that you can rotate. So that means that Trey Lance was playing against those same defensive linemen, but with a much worse offensive line.
If we cut Jimmy tomorrow, who would you sign?
Who would I sign? Is there anybody to sign?
You might want to sign some depth pieces, like a really good backup corner, maybe someone who could compete at right guard. But then you could also like trade for people. You could trade for a starting.
I
don't know. You could do stuff like that.
I think the window is passed for signing players. I mean, all the guys that I would have liked to have signed have already signed somewhere else.
They got nothing at guard.
Yeah.
They got to be a guard they can sign. Oh, good question. Let me get back to you on that because I feel like there's got to be someone.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Robert says, who is the most dispensable and indispensable player on the first team? The most dispensable player in the first team is number 10. The most indispensable.
Yeah, that's clear.
The most indispensable player is
Fred Warner.
Yeah, Jason Verrett. Damn. What happens if Jason Verrett gets hurt? I don't know.
Yeah.
Matt H says maybe KC will run Wasp for old time's sake. Pain.
Please no.
I wonder if the Niners will do anything to give them something to feel good about against Kansas City because I'm sure it still hurts just seeing their uniforms. John says Florio thinks the Niners could ask Jimmy to reduce his salary or else cut him the week before the season starts, assuming no decent trade offers. Thoughts? I've wondered. Let's say week before the season starts, they say, Jimmy, we're starting Trey. You did as well as you could. Of course, you threw these 6 picks, traded better. You shouldn't be surprised. We're going to, it's only fair. It's only fair. You lost fair and square. We've given you $90 million. I don't know. What do you think he says?
I love how you straight face were the most condescending person ever. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd say no. He's absolutely not taking a pay cut. They may ask him, but he's not doing it. And I'd be shocked if he's not on this team come week 1. Again, it's too late to go sign anybody else unless you want to make a late addition as far as a trade. I just don't see it happening. Now, what I could see happening is they start Trey. They make sure he's healthy. He's playing really well. Then, to your point, they want to make that trade deadline addition a la Emmanuel Sanders, and they've got to have room. Jimmy can go.
All right. What's up, fellas? What's up, Raymond? Grant, from what you've seen from Lance so far, does it appear that he makes players look better around him? Maybe the coach. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he makes Deebo Samuel look like a whole different player. Deebo's not just slants end arounds. He's fades, posts. He's the big play guy. He's faster than Ayuk, and Lance shows it. Lance loves going deep to Deebo, and I think Deebo likes playing with Lance.
I was going to say, if Kittle is Team Jimmy, Deebo's definitely Team Lance.
Kittle keeps saying, like, Lance doesn't understand how fast I am. He needs to throw it out there. Like, well, he throws it out there for Deebo. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he just needs a little more reps with you. Maybe you should play with the starters. Maybe you should tell Kyle.
Yeah.
Tobin says, can you give us some perspective on the running back competition? Are they going to keep 5 guys? The Seahawks team is good enough for a one and done in the playoffs. It's pretty clear they're going to keep the 2 guys they drafted this year. They're going to keep Mostert. That's 3. I think they'll keep Gallman until Jeff Wilson comes back. I think they'll put Hasty on the practice squad. That's the way I see it.
I agree.
Yeah. Was that it? Okay. Topic number 3. Will Jaquiski Tarte ever play again?
I have my doubts, Grant. I really do. So he's not ready, and they don't know how long it's going to be until he's ready. They said not for the foreseeable future. The reason he's not playing is because of a turf toe injury that he suffered last year. Mm-hmm. Turf toe is what caused Willis to retire. Mm-hmm. It's what caused Deion Sanders to retire. Now, Deion came back a few years later, but ultimately it caused him to retire. And if it's this long afterwards and you still haven't come back, I have my doubts. I don't know. I don't think that we see Tarte in a Niner uniform ever again.
Yeah, I think you mentioned, I mean, this is a career. It could be a career ender. And ended Patrick Willis's career. He got this injury last year. It's very serious. I mean, the fact that he was a guy making like $6-7 million a year. Robbie Gould money. I mean, not messing around. Jaquiski Tarte had to take an $800,000 one-year deal. Why? Why do you think? Because he's really freaking hurt. I think what's going on is the Niners haven't done a really good job of being transparent about Tarte in particular, because they never talk about Tarte. It's like they think no one cares. And so when he got hurt, I think they didn't really tell people, like, this is really serious. They're just like, yeah, we'll see. And Niner fans are like, okay, well, he'll be back soon. And now it's, no. I don't know, man. I think if he comes back this year, It would be amazing. We didn't think about this coming in the offseason, though. We're all focused on D Ford. It's Tarte.
This was never a possibility in anybody's minds, I don't think. I think everybody expected him to play, but you're right. The reason he wasn't getting signed by anybody else because he probably couldn't pass a physical. But the 49ers can brush past that because he's a current player of theirs. So $800,000, I mean, that tells you all you need to know about his health.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about Tarte is like, he's not necessarily a playmaker, but he's good in coverage. And, he's good in coverage in a sense, not just man to man, but in zone too. Like, he's been in the system for so long, he executes it well and doesn't give up big plays. Who knows about Tavon Wilson? He hasn't been in the system. Who knows about Ha Clinton Dix?
Right.
Like, if someone's going to be giving up explosive plays in the secondary, it's going to be the strong safety this year. It's not going to be Ward. It's not going to be Mosley or Verrett. So this is a big loss. And if they could get him back, it'd be a big addition because, the strong safety is the mark in the secondary this year.
For sure. Yes, it absolutely is.
Apparently, we got BW Webson up in here. Hey, respect. Thank you for watching. Good luck to your dad. I haven't got to meet him yet, but I hope the Niners bring him out to the press room so we could interview him because I never met him. Anyway, shout out to you and your family.
Tell your dad Grant will be the one in the Sports Illustrated polo.
Oh, that was... Now I got to switch it up just for Robbie. Gustavo says, how long do you think we'll have Clinton Dix for since he's not that old or even 30? How about the whole year? They need him.
Sure.
They freaking need him.
I can't look past this year with him, but for sure this year he'll be there.
Juan says, do you think D Ford will be healthy and effective? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this defensive line with D Ford is the best defensive line in the league. So
sure,
if he's healthy, if Bosa's healthy, I think this is the best defensive line. If Ford is not healthy, and let's say Bosa is, then maybe it's a top 5 to 7 defensive line. But I think Ford's that much of a difference maker.
Yeah, he's got spine problems. It's cool now. And you got to respect a dude who's willing to go out there and get hurt again. Something so serious. Hope it's not too serious. It's kind of scary if you think about it.
It is. It is very scary, yes.
Good luck, man. I hope nothing bad happens because he's a cool guy. Robert says, if Tarte is out, who will be our nickel dime DBs? Ooh, I don't know how much dime they're going to be doing, but I don't know. Probably no dime. But yeah, K1's a nickel.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe Hufanga could do some stuff like that. I don't know. All right. Playing time for the rookies on Saturday. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
How we think it's going to go. I mean, what do you think?
So I would expect, let's start with Trey Lance. I would say Jimmy gets the first drive. And then after that, Trey Lance will probably play through the first half. And I think that's good. I'll take that. And
I would little bit in the third quarter too. I mean, dude, the guy hasn't played why not? The guy hasn't played in a freaking year, and there's only 3 of these games. I'd like to give him some experience with a halftime adjustment. He's never had those before in the NFL. Like we have a game plan, although they say they're not game planning. But eventually, if they're not game planning this time, when they do, let him play into the third quarter. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say Sermon will probably start. They're not going to want to put Mostert out there. I would say they're probably not going to play Verrett. So maybe Ambry Thomas starts. And I would expect minimum 1 full half out of those guys. I would say Banks probably starts. And Diamador Lenore will probably play the whole second half. Hufanga will probably play 2 quarters, second and third, something like that.
Sermon's going to play early. He's going to play with, that'll be interesting. He could be first half guy. I'm curious to see Hufanga. That could be the guy who pops when it's actual tackle football.
I think so too.
Yeah, I'm excited for
I hope he's mic'd up too.
I'm a little nervous about, not nervous, but I'm curious about the 2 corners. I don't know. They might just get roasted. I don't know. But I'm curious to see with them. Grant, what are your thoughts on Michael Thomas reported request to be traded? Is he a fit for the Niners? No, they can't afford him. But what's interesting is, let's say the Saints get rid of him and the Niners cut Jimmy or something. Do you think the Saints would want Jimmy? I know they have guys there. Jameis sucks, though. I'm sorry. Jameis sucks.
So
and I don't know if Taysom might suck too. I don't know. I'm not saying Jimmy's good, but Sean Payton has so much experience with a quarterback who has no arm strength and just throws short passes over the middle. Now, Drew Brees was a lot better than Jimmy and a lot more decisive and smarter and all that. But I don't know, it might be one team that might want him. I don't know. But they would have to get rid of Michael Thomas first because they have no cap space.
For sure. Michael Thomas, no, I want no part of that guy. He's a malcontent in the locker room. He has been for a couple of years. One team that I would be scared to death, though, if he goes to is the Packers.
Yeah, good point. Will Jalen Hurd make this team?
This is probably the crappiest topic because I don't think he does. Grant, I don't see it. I get he was a 3rd round pick, but at some point you got to cut your losses. He's done absolutely nothing thus far in training camp. Sherfield's definitely making this team. You've got other receivers like Watkins and Jennings. And I mean, at this point, I just don't see that it's possible. Richie James is also on this team. He most likely doesn't make it. Benjamin doesn't make it. After those top few guys, it's really deep and it's going to be really hard to make this team. And if Hurd can do absolutely nothing at this point, and you can tell that Shanahan is disappointed, very disappointed. So I don't see it.
Yeah, the vibe I'm getting? Joe Williams.
Oh.
Joe Williams. Never played for the 49ers. Never played it down in the NFL. I kind of feel like that's the way this is trending. And I don't know why it didn't work out with Joe Williams. And I don't know if it's the same reason not working out with Jalen Hurd, but it's just not working out. And I think what they'll say is he just was never healthy. He came into the league hurt. He was always hurt. And it's probably been hurt since high school, if we're being honest. That's the way I think this is going. I don't think he's ever going to play it down in the NFL. I don't think his body's got it. He's giving out.
That's too bad, man.
It's too bad.
It really is too bad. What's crazy is I remember when Peter King wrote the article about him his rookie year that he was supposed to do everything that we've seen Debo do. That was supposed to be Hurd. That's how good he was supposed to be. And Debo, thank God, came in and took it over, did everything, turned into that Swiss Army knife, and has been fantastic with it. But could you imagine if Hurd was as good as Debo or possibly better, what this offense could look like?
He was supposed to be the number 3 receiver. He was supposed to be the big slot guy.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done a damn thing. He has 1 catch in camp. Meanwhile, you got Mohamed Sanu looking better than he has in years. Really playing a lot like Kendrick Bourne. He solidified the number 3 guy role. Then you had Trent Sherfield having the camp of his life. He's the number 4 guy. So that leaves like 2 spots. And Jawan Jennings has done more than him. Richie James has done more than him. Travis Benjamin. Everyone, literally every running wide receiver in the team has done more than him. So
even River Craycraft.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. River, if you're watching, hey, nice catch in the end zone today. Nice deep catch. He caught a pass. He beat Ambry Thomas deep. Ambry Thomas walked away like it was college. River got up and ran to the end zone. Tavon Wilson ran on the field to yell at Ambry, be like,
oh, did he?
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was from Rosen too, right?
Hell, no.
No.
Oh. Touchdown in the red zone was from Rosen. Poor Rosen. John says Trey gets a crack at some of the KC defensive starters Saturday and performs. Does this change Trey first team reps? I don't think he will. Think he will?
No, I don't think Kansas City's ever playing any starters.
If he has to play with Tom Compton against KC starters, you're trying to get Trey Lance hurt. That's organization malpractice. Marcus says, who are you guys most worried about going into the season, offense, defense? Players?
Okay. Let's go players. I would
right guard.
I would just say the health of secondary.
Nick Bosa.
I mean, Bosa.
Nick Bosa. He's so important. And
Kinlaw.
These guys are so important. Whoever the right guard's going to be. Mike McGlinchey. Let's not, let him off the hook.
Yeah.
Mike McGlinchey.
What's crazy is I think this team is extremely deep, right? So they can make up for a loss or 2 along the way, but there's certain losses that you just can't recover from. Verrett, that's one of them. There's just no depth behind him. And Ambry Thomas and Lenore may end up being pretty good, but nobody wants to find out this year.
Here's what bugs me about McGlinchey. In one-on-ones, they always give him the easiest matchups. he goes up against guys like Alex Barrett and like the third stringers, while all the good edge rushers go up against Trent Williams, the ones that participate. It's like, why? If do you only use this drill to pump up his confidence? Because it's not working. I don't get it. Like, give him a real test. Are you afraid to let him lose in front of the media? Is that going to rock his confidence so much? Well, then what do you got there? I don't know.
Didn't Ford mop him a couple times?
I mean, in 11-on-11s, Ford hasn't done one-on-ones yet, but absolutely. Eric says, "Is it time to hit the panic button on our O-line?"
I wouldn't say fully.
Mac looked good today. I'm curious to see if maybe he's been pacing himself. He's a little bit older. To expect the 36-year-old center to come out and physically dominate every day at camp, maybe it was not what he's doing, but he looked good today. So I don't know. I'm just curious about the right side. I'm curious about that.
I'll say this. I think Mac's importance is a lot more about what he does for getting everybody else in the right positions more than it is his personal PFF grade.
True. Good point. And again, forget personal PFF grades on an offensive line. I don't like that with Trent Williams. He's always talking about he's the best PFF grade. You're a unit.
Yep.
You're just a unit. You're basically one person that's connected at the hip. You know what I mean? If
I get it when a corner does it, not when a left tackle does it.
No, absolutely not. Curtis says Jimmy will play preseason game 1 until he throws a TD. Then they will pull him so his stat sheet looks good.
Maybe.
He could end up 7 or 8 with some quick throws. That would be smart if they're.
But they may really be there a while too.
They did that. They did that at the open practice. They were not going to end until he had a touchdown throw, and so they had to bench all the cornerbacks, and they had to get him to the 3-yard line and have him throw a fade to Kittle against Diamador Lenore. That's what they had to do.
It was the best throw I've ever seen, Grant.
It was the best throw I've ever seen. Wes says O-line seems to be a consistent area of concern. Anyone out there that the Niners could try to get and help also any way they could go after CJ Henderson. Not yet on Henderson, but I'm going to look at the free agents right now because there's got to be someone. Pull
it up real quick. Let's see. This is like the third person that's asked a question. I got to know who's out there.
Spot track, free agents, cards. Okay, hold on. Guard, okay. David DeCastro retired. Zach Fulton, Nick Easton. How about Nick Easton? I'll take Nick Easton right now.
For sure.
Nick Easton. I'll take him. James Carpenter, no. Mikey Potty, no. Kelechi Osemele. Is he washed up?
Yeah. I'd take a look
at him. That's 3 guys right there. Bring them in for a workout, all 3. See who's good. Come on.
Yeah. There's not a lot out there, but there's also not a lot of depth on the offensive line either. So why not?
Yeah. I mean, you got Colton McKivitz, the backup left guard right now. What is the possibility of maybe signing Nick Foles if they move on from Jimmy G?
Well, they'd have to trade for him, right? Isn't he on the Bears?
And if you think the Bears are going to cut him, I mean, that would be the only way.
They could.
Okay. Last topic. The Niners draft history in the first 3 rounds and how it could catch up to them. Let's go through it.
Yeah. I mean, we can go year by year, or I've already got it just broken down. So I figure you can't take the players this year, right? It's way too early to make any assumption on any of them. So 17, 18, 19, 20. Out of those 13 players that have been drafted in the first round, 6 of them are not even on this team anymore. And it might be 7 if Hurd gets cut.
Ooh. Can I list them real quick? Solomon Thomas. Keller Witherspoon.
Yep.
Reuben Foster.
Yep.
Dante Pettis.
Yep. There's a couple of them in Seattle.
Oh, man.
Or one of them in Seattle, at least.
I said Akello.
Did you say Akello?
I thought I said Akello. Maybe I don't
know if you
anyway,
said
who's the rest?
So we've got, hold please. We've got Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, CJ Beathard, Akello Witherspoon, Dante Pettis. We've got Jalen Hurd, most likely won't play it.
I've already edited CJ Beathard out of my brain. Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah. Okay. And then it's like It's okay. So they drafted Solomon Thomas in round 1. Awful. I mean, the first three rounds in round 2017 were awful. 2018, you go McGlinchey, Pettis, Warner. Okay, 1 for
Warner's
3.
fantastic.
1 for 3. Warner's fantastic. 2019.
1 for 4 because Moore was drafted in the 3rd round as well.
Bosa, Debo, Hurd. This was a very volatile group because all 3 guys had injury issues.
Yeah.
Hurd's dropping, and Debo and Bosa have a lot to prove this year. Could be great. It could be awful. We're going to need to see what Debo and Bosa have long term and short term. 2020. Kinlaw
and
Ayuk. Determined. Ayuk looks good, and that's it.
That's it, because they went to the 5th round after that.
This year, Trey Lance looks fantastic. Aaron Banks does not. Trey Sermon looks interesting. Ambry Thomas, he has his days. So it's hard to say. I'm not going to write off Ambry Thomas just yet.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about Ambry. He holds his own in the one-on-ones, which makes me think he's got something.
Yeah.
But anytime I see him in 11-on-11, it's like, hey, he just got beat. That's when I notice him.
It's like he's not understanding.
Yeah.
He's not understanding when it's his turn to make a play.
Yeah.
And be in certain coverages. Obviously, one-on-one, he's got the skill set. He's just not understanding the defense, most likely, is what that tells me. But I guess the point is, if you're missing on half of your
it's not good.
First 3 round picks, that's not good, because those are the guys that are supposed to be your long-term starters, your all pros in the 1st round, and 3rd round at the very least. These are guys that are depth pieces, part of the special teams, whatever. And when half these guys aren't even on your team anymore, you can only do that for so long before you're just not good and not relevant. You build through the draft. And the only thing that's kept them afloat, in my opinion, at this point, is hitting on some of those late round picks.
Yep,
you hit on Kittle, you hit on DJ Jones, you've hit on a few guys. If you didn't hit on those guys, you'd be in a world of trouble right now, because building through the draft is what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good thing you drafted Trey Lance, though. It seemed like if you had drafted Mac Jones, whew.
Yes.
Anyway. That's our show. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and for donating and for spending some time with us. I'm exhausted. I'm going to go eat dinner. I'm not as tired as Jesse is, though. I can only imagine, because it's 11:15 where he is. So thank you so much for staying up so late. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you I'll be asleep at 11:15 Pacific time. Guarantee it. How is Elijah Mitchell? He's a running back in training camp. He looks good, but let's see him on Saturday. Thank you very much, everyone. The show is over. I'll be back tomorrow. Last day of training camp in Santa Clara. Tomorrow until the joint camp next week with the Chargers.
Absolutely.
See you tomorrow.